Hey guys, anyway, Pete Dollar here and working on the F86. Working on some stabs and I'm getting ready to put the third coat on the stabilizers and as well as the elevators, which I'm working on now. And I'm going to show you a couple of spots. Got a couple little, I don't know how well you can see it, but anyway, there's a couple of boogers right here. And it's going to take a little bit. I'm using some T20 grit on the little bit of T20 grit on a regular automotive sanding block. And I like to use, and then this takes any of the little bit of fuzz off, but I'm not trying to sand through the actual glass. And after a third coat, this has been sanded a little bit just to kind of see where I was at, because I will fill these with a high build primer, but I'm trying to get a little bit of a look like this. And I let this do a full cure. Guys, these things are like rocks. They're like pieces of steel. They don't flex, they don't move. It's good stuff. Very, very good stuff. And I'm just trying to figure out what spot I did. Yeah, I'm just laying them out. And God, this stuff's nice, guys. You'll love it. Once these are done, you'll once these are completely done after I do this third coat, I'm going to show you the difference on the actual rudder. And I'm going to show you a couple things. And guys, this thing is got no chance. This time on the last coat, I'll actually go in here and I'll actually put a coat in there. I don't glass in here. Some guys have asked me about it. I don't do it. But if you look, I just trimmed the spoilage off right in here, just enough to where I can come back and sand this and get a little bit in there. And I leave where the rudder the servo go in there. I will leave that until after I get it primered. And the reason I did is it actually acts like an automatic masking. And you don't have to take it off, and it's good. And then you get a little bit in there, you can actually go, it'll strengthen that wood like you won't believe. Anyway, it looks like this before it gets sanded and primered, and you'll be amazed. Just it'll go from this, and that's 2 coats, to actually going with 3 coats, where you can see it's dusty because I've been sanding on it in there. And just for kind of one thing I'm looking for is like right in here. It will run over a little bit, but it's not anything to get hung up or worried about, because you want, when you gloss over that, you want that edge to be really nice and just smooth. And again, I'm using a piece of T20 dry, and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to sand those bumps off there. And you can actually scrape this with a razor blade, and it's good enough for primer. But if you're like me, I've been painting cars and airplanes and everything else for a lot of years, and I'm just set in my ways. All it's up to you how far you're willing to go with this, and it doesn't take that much. time, and I always sand over the leading edge. And it's like I said, you want to have quite a bit of denatured alcohol with you when you're working with this before primer, and even after you primer it, it will clean everything up. It will also, yeah, denatured alcohol is your cleaner. That's your go-to, and we'll use a lot of that, believe it or not. It's always never an ending. It's a never-ending process. And again, guys, I'm not trying to get these perfectly straight. I'm just getting areas that I know are going to be a little bit more trouble. And the primer that we'll be using is a K or 2K primer, and what that will do is that's going to the 2K primer is not going to it just won't it won't shrink back where it is where it's going to be. And I like to do the body working on this as I go, and it's always worked out very well for me. And you can feather the stuff. Now I use a, if I can remember where I put the thing. You get the, I've been able to been lucky to find the rolled sandpaper that's self-adhesive, and I like that dry in this stuff. And you'll go through a lot of it. It's really about finessing your work and getting things to where it's actually where did I want to sandpaper go? Yeah, jam that up. Anyway, I lost my all sandpaper. Maybe somebody borrowed it and didn't tell me about it. Anyway, no. Yeah, I just use this stuff. I found it. It come like cold. Anyway, this is 220 grits dry. It's just regular paper, and I use this for a lot of my fine tuning on it. And I use a lot of rubber blocks. Easy sanders are great. If you got one, use it. It's it really makes a big difference. But I like a little bit of flex, and I like a little bit of flex in it to change paper as often as you need to. And this is not a time to be skimping on your materials or anything like that. Don't think for a second that you're gonna go and get amazing results if you're not willing to spend the time and money on your preparations, because it doesn't look too great when you cut corners and others. And I go long strokes. I don't know if you can see me or not, but this stuff sands so amazingly easy. And again, I will come back to get any of the high spots in that. But this coat that I'm putting on is actually considered a flow coat. And the main thing is, a lot of you guys know I am intending to compete in Top Gun with this airplane. And the one thing that I will guarantee you there are a lot of that are just amazing builders out there. A lot of them that I learned from are actually guys that I plan to compete against. And the camaraderie is just one of those deals that's just so much awesome and fun that, they're gone. And guys, I'm not adding a lot of weight. A lot of guys go, oh God, a lot of guys have asked me about the weight of this stuff. It's not about the weight, it's about if you guys go and start laminating a heavy fuselage, you are. But you can figure the weight on this thing to be for the whole airplane, paint wise, is only going to be about maybe 3 pounds. I've got a lot of material on a lot of this right now, and yes, it is. It does. It actually gets almost asinine, and I am going through a lot more material than I anticipated. But you got to remember too, this is a very big airplane, so there's no really no hard points for the second place. And it's gonna primer it so freaking nice. This stuff's just so amazing. Guys, if you're using Z-Epoxy, which is all I will use, I mean, this stuff is foolproof. If you can do it in so many ways. I mean, I know guys that go and do it and actually mold their pound lines into this stuff, and I've used it for different things, and get some pretty amazing results out of it. Anyway, one thing I do recommend is you have some good knives available and something that you're used to working with. Keep this. And guys, if you buy a new pair of scissors, don't let your better half decide that, oh, yours are new, mine are better. Hide these suckers, because you know what? All right, I'll steal mine back from these. And these guys, these fisters work amazingly well, and they're not that much. They're about $20 for a good pair. But if you got a better half at your house, you make sure that she only knows about these, because these, you got to have a good pair of scissors to do this cloth, because if you don't, you're going to just have a hell of a time with it. So hide these. And anyway, my prep time is about done on that. So anyway, what I need now is to find, this is something that you're going to just have. And again, everything that you got going on with your wings right now at this point in time is all about your prep work. If you want good, nice parts like this, you just got to be willing to put some time. And if you are sanding in prep for the next coat, and you need to, you just want to get in a light where you can actually look down. But I want to show you guys something that you got to be very careful of. And this is something that is absolutely very valuable information on this. Is that when you go and you sand that off to get that, okay, you gotta be willing to put the time into this. If you feel that and it's rough, sand it off. That one is. But I want you guys to see in here too. I just knocked that down just enough. That weave is not filled because I'm thinning this out. And this is why I thin it out in these 3 coats. And a lot of guys have asked me about that. Because a lot of people are not familiar with my method. And as a lot of you guys know, I've been involved in just about everything there is in RC, especially cars. And one of the things is that I've always been very, I got a name for being a custom painter for a long time. I actually learned a lot about painting and a lot of things from some pretty big names that are local here. Color Paint for one, and little things like that. But the one thing is that when we're almost. And guys, I'm not putting any pressure on this stuff at all. You just want to make sure that you're not shaping anything either. You want to be really being very, very gentle. You guys, they're like what, rock hard. They don't. This stuff is unbelievably strong. Anyway, I just mix up another batch, and it doesn't take that much to do this part. And then our glassing on our empennage is actually just about done. I'm waiting on my canopy frame, and while we're here, another most important thing in thought here is you got to wipe these down with your denatured alcohol before you put them. If you don't, he'll fish out like crazy on you, and that sucks. And I hate it when it fish eyes. But there's no real window of time glassing these parts. There's really not. And one thing that I am going to show you is after you clean these parts out like that, you can look down it. But this is what it'll look like after you've wiped it down with your denatured alcohol. And that's what you pulled off of it. So you want to make sure you really do clean these parts off very well. Do not wipe them dry. There's another thing about the denatured alcohol that I want you guys to understand, completely know, and have good knowledge about it. Is that the denatured alcohol, when you go and you put it down on, when you go and you wipe these parts down with denatured alcohol, you're going to find out one thing. It works like a bonding agent, and what it will do is it will actually take a little bit of the waxing off that particular part. And that's what happens when you that's the side we're going to glass, and as you can see, it looks pretty good, and we won't worry about shooting that straight until we actually go and get it in primer. And then we'll take a long board here and we'll just clean it up, and that usually works out pretty good. don't be afraid to use paper towels, are cheap. But I want you guys to remember too is that when you're doing, when it comes down to doing buying things, don't go to like dollar stores and try to get away with buying the cheap rolls. It causes problems, and I have a tendency to really like to use Bounty or brownies, anything that's a good. They're a little bit more done, or you can go to the auto parts store and buy the blue shop towels. And that's something there. Now, that's actually cured, dried off. That's clean and it's ready for the next step. And if you look down it, it looks pretty freaking amazing. What this third coat's gonna do is gonna make this so that I can go in and wet sand these a little bit first. Now, on this coat, another thing that I'm going to do, which I have not done yet, is I'm gonna put a coat of just straight resin into here, and that's gonna go up there and it's gonna tackle any of the shims and make them hard. So then I can go in and I'll show you that later and why we're doing it. And it's kind of a good idea, really good practice to do. And that will get in there, because once I do that, what'll happen even in here, all these pieces that are in there with that done, it's going to just make that spoilage even more done there. So then when I go in here, I can actually go and put a little bit of filler in here and sand that all off. It's going to be really great. And the reason I'm doing it, just so you guys just made clear, I added a little bit more extra on here because I'm going to sand these, because when these are sitting on the airplane, you're not going to be able to see these lines. And it's just a good practice to make it clean. It does take some time, but it by all means is absolutely 100% worth it. And another reason I like to do that sealing on the inside of these in here this time, especially in this edge, because I don't want to see any wood spoilage, and I will touch it lightly. It just is very, very quick, but I don't blast this. And it adds a considerable amount of hardness, because you don't want any of this balsa or any of this stuff when you sand it. You're doing, and again, we're really not adding any real tremendous strength, still wood structure. But what we're doing is we're basically making this to be we're just basically making a good foundation in here for just paint. But what that cloth does, and I've showed you, it does give it some strength. Well, it's not beat around the bush on that. It will, but it's not going to give you a lot of structural strength. When it comes down to a lot of it, it won't do it. And I'm just showing this for you guys so that you guys do see it. Now I want you to look on the bottom of your cup, and I want you to look at one thing. It does curve in, and I'm going to show you this here just as soon as I get enough in here to do this. And you can do this a couple ways. That's more than enough resin for what we're doing. A lot of guys have asked me about something, so I want to show you something on solo caps. This is what I use. But the bottom of the cup is there's only about a 5-drop difference from there. And you got to kind of look through it. And here, and you're going to see that there's a little bit of indentation there. Well, it's only a 5-drop difference in there. So you want to measure it from here to here. You want to bring your resin, well, you want to measure it from here, but you actually want to go right in the middle of this and measure it up to about here. And then again to about right there. Always favor your resin, guys. Get your, so right here where I got my resin, I'm going to make sure right where the resin's sitting, I'm going to make sure that I have it about right there. And this is going to give you just enough favoritism under here to be right. So now this has taken without anything. I'm going to tell you right now that you're probably going to want to go. And again, this is for you that have not followed any of the other deal. Now I kind of swirl it around. And this stuff takes a long time, especially as cold as it's been. And basically what I will do is I will set this down for a minute because it will float. And if it's cold like it is in here today, I want to reassure you, this stuff will float, but let it sit for a second just to make sure that your resin is good to go. Don't worry about what you get on the side of the cup. It'll all mix down once you pour the alcohol in it, or not. That's not enough hardener yet. So let it set. Don't guess on it, just, use your eye level on it. And that's just about right. That's perfect for what we're doing. And a lot of guys kind of shy away from doing the deal with the alcohol because it is, a lot of guys like to squeegee on. I don't. Again, guys, these brushes are like $8 for 36 of them. Don't reuse these. Just go, but take your time and pull out any of these things. Knock the dust out of it. Make sure you do that. And then these are a 2-inch brush. You can go 1.5 inches if you like. And I know guys use those little bristle brushes, but to me they just don't do anything. I don't know, they just don't do anything for me. You can go to whatever you want on your denatured alcohol. But if you get them about right there, that's about right. Now pour it in like this and you're going to see you made that much of a resin. Maybe just simply I use a piece of balsa, and when you start stirring this, guys, it's going to get cloudy, and you're going to notice it depends on your temperature, but if your resin's really brown, it's got a lot of water in it. I stir it up until it's about like this. And again, guys, we're building this in real time right now, and we're going to be doing that from here on out. And you want to make sure you got it pretty thin. And it'll have that consistency to where it just is about like that. Your viscosity has changed dramatically, but that's clear. Now, see, there's no water in it. And so I just wet the brush out like so, just like you would anything else. Just put it down. And like I said, this time, I will seal up everything in here. If you get any on your tubes, don't worry about it. It comes right off. But I want you guys to make sure that when this stuff will literally look like it's disappearing once it gets into the edges. And what this is going to actually do is you're not going to see any wood in your edges on that, and it actually does look really, really nice. So and this is actually, and you know what, if you don't mix enough, you don't need to add a new, you really don't need to add in any new cups, as long as it's wet and you're not within your don't be afraid to put it on. Keeping things out of the way is good. And if you do this, you can always tip your edges really nice. It looks like a lot of material, guys, but you know what, really the reality of it is, it's really not that bad. Doing this correctly is probably one of the most this is the one thing that'll get a lot of guys in trouble, but it's also one of those deals where it's a necessary evil to get this done and do it and actually do it right. And probably mumbling. It's okay to do that a lot. And with a lot of these little tricks and things done, you're going to find out that your model's going to just be amazing. And it will be. Yeah, if you guys just follow what I'm doing here, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. And neatness does count here, guys. If you get a couple drips, it's no big deal, because we're going to water sand this. And basically what I did by doing the edges, I just waterproofed it big time. Nothing can get in it anymore, and it'll damn near disappear. But I don't, like I said, I don't try to glass the inside of the deal, nobody's gonna see that. But it does add a really good base for the primers to stick to. And this stuff does, again, this really does, the alcohol helps this really flow out really nice, and it gives it a good, works like a flattening agent. It does slow the cure time down considerably. This stuff won't even be ready for sanding until tomorrow, and then we will start glassing fuselage and some parts of that. Some things we can't do because when I get done here, I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do here on. And again, guys, this does not take a lot of resin to get this done. And you just want to make sure that when you're doing it, that you're just sealing it up. And you can always come back and get another coat on these edges, but it's really not necessary. But what this is doing, which a lot of guys kind of argue a little bit about, not much, but we are adding, with this alcohol mixed in here, I have found, and a lot of guys don't like it. A lot of guys do not like this method. And there are some that are diehards that are out there that'll just say, oh, that thing's never gonna last. Well, I would invite anybody to look at any of my airplanes that are built that I've done in this manner, and all of them are still flying. Some are 15 years old. So there is kind of a deal. It's going to be completely up to you to make the decision on your glassing procedure that you're going to do. This is what I do. Doesn't mean I'm always right, and it doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong. And if you didn't do this, it's, guys, I do this because mainly the alcohol, I do the alcohol method mainly because it works for me. I've done it enough times to know that it absolutely does work. And I also, after building boats for years and planes and a lot of other things, I'm just kind of set in my ways when it comes to certain things. And there are so many new products that are coming out that there's just a lot of new tech. Lots and lots of new technologies and ways to do things. And you'll get really good about, I would say that you would get really, you'll get real good on judging how much of this. You will actually need to get your jet or whatever you're working on, you know. You'll get real good at knowing how much to mix. And basically all I'm doing, guys, is I'm sitting here working this and blowing this out, get that weed completely done. And then I will be sanding this with primer and stuff like that. And as you can see, my gas Canadian process is pretty good. I just have just enough things, all these parts. I didn't make quite enough, but anyway, we're gonna see if I can stretch enough of this out there. I don't know, but we'll see. Actually, that part looked really good anyway. So, anyway. And as you see, bam, that was enough to do the entire back rudder, vertical fin, the other sides of the stabilizers and the elevators. And when you get done, I want to show you what I did. This is another thing I do, and this is what I used yesterday. And guys, this stuff takes a while to cure, and it needs to. You can put it out in the sun. You can do whatever, get kind of a jump start on it if you want to do that. I don't recommend it. Let these things dry as long as they can. And okay, this is what they will look like on the third coat. And I did all the prep. Those I didn't do again because they don't need it. That one needed it. But these are all of your parts. You'll start flattening out. Now tomorrow, like I did the other day, and what I will do here, all this can be wet sanded and getting prepared and ready to be done and primered. And this is what it all looks like when it's all done and actually sealed up. Once this is done, we'll prime it, and then this is going to be something that you guys are going to be amazed by. These parts look nice and beautiful and flat, but you know what? When we spray the epoxy on those, the epoxy high build primer, you're not going to believe how much it will completely destroy itself, and it looks like a really screwed up thing. And Now that that's done, we'll go and talk about this little guy right here. I went ahead and ordered the actual canopy for this airplane, and a new canopy should be here any day. When it's done, I got to looking at Patrick's and a few other guys that are building their airplanes, and I didn't like this. So we're going to use the actual one, and we're going to try to salvage still a lot of this, but we may be rebuilding the whole canopy and the cockpit area. Won't be redoing that, but we may need to do the other parts. And the reason being for it is because I was trying to do something and make my own, but I could never get that rolled right on that. Now, Maguro actually did make these, and I know they're good. So, and that canopy is scratched up. It's been moved a few times, and that's something we don't want in a competition airplane. In another situation, it'd be fine. I wouldn't even be worried about it. This one's not acceptable to me. So we're going to redo that. And it's actually not going to be that big of a deal. And going to take some sanding and filing and getting everything fit up to be the right way. And then this is going to be cool. But other than that, the rest of the airplane is looking really good. We're not going to have any big major issues and problems or anything like that. It is sitting on a blanket. It's not sitting on a concrete floor. And the next part we're going to be doing is the lower. After these are done, we're going to have to go ahead and get this. And then we got some work to do on the aft section because we got to finish the air brakes. We need to get some glassing done in there. All this is going to need to be done, and we're going to start getting on this nice and heavy. And then we're waiting on Aldi Wings is sending all the wiring. We're going to start wiring the jet up and getting everything else done. We're going to start getting servos installed in here and this and that. But while we're doing that and waiting for things, we're going to go ahead and start doing laying out for panel lines. And the way I'm going to do this, and that's another reason. This part right here is very defined and very sharp. I tried to make this myself, and I just am not going to do it. So we're waiting on the part. It was a cheap, easier way to do it. $45, and bam, we got a detailed canopy that was actually done. And we're going to try to save as much time as possible on this airplane because we only have a little over a year to finish this for competition. And that, my friends, is going to be a very tall order, especially with all the rivets and everything that's going on here. If you guys are going to just build yours to fly, once you get this done, you can sand it. But if you're going to do panel lines and everything else and all that stuff throughout this wings and everything else, guys, it's a major undertaking. It's a big job. It takes 5 to 6 months to get all these details done. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the funny papers, and I hope that these are going to be, see here, this is why I like the alcohol, starting to flatten itself out. And that's kind of why I was showing you something else. Starting to flatten itself out. Little spots like that look like they were there. They're filling themselves in and leveling themselves out. And they'll do that until it actually kicks. So anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. Like, comment below. And as a lot of you know, if you do message me, I am Peter Dahlgren from Seattle in Facebook. Feel free to friend me on there, and I will answer anything that I got with any of you guys. And I love meeting people and talking to people. So if you guys have anything else you guys want, or you guys want to see anything on this, I share this on Facebook just as much as I share it here on YouTube. More than happy. And yes, I take advice. Trust me, we're not done learning. I'm building a jet. But I've had a lot of help from a lot of you, and especially some of you big viewers out there. Thank you for subscribing, like, share, whatever you guys want to do. But stay inspired. Get out there and build something, guys. This is what it's about. Greatness is only achieved by those who take the first jump.